Welcome, Julie, to our Moderately MoCo interview with Christian. I'm going to basically just hand it over to him and let him take it away. So.
Good morning, Christian.
Good morning, Ms. Yang. Again, my name is Christian Lee. I'm a rising senior at Quince Orchard High School and currently an intern at Summarize Moderately MoCo government coverage. We just have some questions regarding your experience as a Board of Education member. We actually have a wide variety of questions. Firstly, in your candidacy, one of your candidacy profile statements, you mentioned that one of your goals for running for the school board is removing barriers that prevent students from accessing opportunities. Since your election, what barriers have been addressed and what remains to be done?
Christian, I'm so happy to be here, right? And I have to tell you a little bit about myself. Education made the biggest difference for me. So I grew up poor, but unlike many of my friends around me, I got the good fortune and opportunity to finish not only secondary school, but also eventually went to college and received a graduate degree. Now, when I entered elementary school at the age of 7, but that at that time was 7 for us. I could not count to 20, but it was a second grade teacher did not give up on me. And she's the one that changed my trajectory in life. So as you know, fast forward, I went on to become a teacher, a data analyst, and a college career counselor with that mindset to bring the same kind of impact on my students as my second grade teacher did for me. So my wish to come out of a campaign and have always been, and even more so now, right, I'm elected, to positively change the life trajectory of many more students in our school system. And because I think everyone deserves a chance. So in the last 7 months, one of the biggest tasks the board got done is the school budget for the 2024 school year, okay? We have made all AP and IB exam free for all students. And this removed a big barrier for many of our students. Now, we also put in math content coaches and a lot more like English language development teachers who teach students who speak English as a second language. Now, by doing so, we are strengthening our instruction, and that will help our students achieve. Now, in addition, this is one of the things I'm excited about. The board directed the superintendent to create a plan to include financial literacy as a graduation requirement for all students. Next year, the board will look at the feasibility of implementation. So this will effectively remove the barrier to assessing this very critical life skills and help prepare our students for life. So I think these are a few examples of the work the board is doing and I am doing to remove barriers.
I do remember that Arvin Kim, in his closing statement, he mentioned that one of the things that the board did was making AP exams freer, lessening the cost of them. That's amazing to hear.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to expanding STEAM, being science, technology, engineering, and arts and math career opportunities, what other opportunities, if any, have you provided to MCPS students? And will there be more humanities-focused opportunities for humanities students?
Very good question. So I have been on the board for 7 or 8 months, going on 8 months now, right? During this time, the board took a look at the various programs available throughout the county. We literally have a map and dotted out all the different programs around the county. The next step for us is to look at how effective these programs are. For example, do two-way immersion programs really help our students with their academic achievement? Is the aviation program providing students with opportunities in the field after graduation? Right? We want to know that our program are doing what they are designed to do, and we want to make sure that students across the county have access to different programs. So this year, together with my colleagues, we requested a school system to develop a program evaluation framework, which they did, and we want to put all programs on an evaluation rotation. So this way, we can continue programs that are working well, adjust the programs that needing improvement, and stop and redirect our investment resources to programs that do not work. So I think right now, it makes the best sense to focus on this work first before creating more programs.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Moving to our next question. MCPS has made student mental health a big agenda item. Yet Sami Saeed, our 46th student member of the board, polled students on social media about their school psychologists, and the vast majority did not know who their school psychologist was. In addition to decreasing the student to counselor ratio, what is being done to make students more aware of these psychologists and establish trust between them?
By the way, I'm a fan of Sammy's. Yesterday, he had his full board meeting. I'm excited to work with him this year. Okay, so one of my most difficult moments as an MCPS parent was driving my high school daughter to a mental health therapy session in a blizzard. It was a crisis moment, and I felt so alone and eager, like just turn to the school staff to help me navigate, this crisis I was facing. So in the last 2 years, I think many mental health resources have been put in place, right? So collaborated with the Department of Health and Human Services, new bridges to wellness centers open in our high schools, in addition to the wellness centers that we had before. And now we have social workers, and I know that peer groups such as like Our Minds Matter are in many of our high schools. At the board meeting this year, it is reported that a significant amount of our students have sought and received help. We were presented with the data. Now, you brought up a school psychologist at the moment, Christian. Our school psychologists need to cover many tasks, including diagnostic assessments for students seeking special education services or for students who already are receiving special education services. Now, with our special education students number on the rise and the amount of paperwork mandated, and those assessments can be very lengthy, the time and capacity to provide mental health services is very limited. I think that explains why many of our students are not even aware of them, right? As you pointed out, and as Sammy pointed out. So also, that we are facing big budget challenges this year. The social workers and some of our counselors that we put in place in the last 2 years are funded by the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Fund, the ESSER, what we call ESSER. That's the COVID relief money from the federal government. Now, this fund is coming to an end this school year, 2024. So how do we continue to fund these services when the need is still so high and so clear, like you mentioned, right? In addition, that we all know that student well-being is not just 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday to Friday issue. It is a 24/7 issue. So I am a believer that we need the whole community, all agencies, all community groups, a whole society come together and serve our students together. So I don't have an answer of how yet, but I think every day we're looking at how to increase our capacity to collaborate, how to funding sources, and how to provide better service. And that's why we're turning to the community, turning to the students, and turning to the experts in the field.
That's great to hear, especially for the mental health of our students. A year ago, Maryland decided to reverse their decision to remove police officers from their schools. And due to reports of police brutality across America, many students are under the impression that all police officers are dangerous people. When addressing your position on the police, you mentioned that it is important for police not to be involved in student discipline, but rather to address crime and build trusted relationships with their schools. Has there been any progress on the CEO Community Engagement Officer program, and how will officers be able to regain the trust of students?
Christian, I don't think Maryland State changed that. I think Montgomery County, we changed that. It's a good question. How will officers be able to gain trust, right? What progress have been made? So student and staff safety is our top priority, right? Learning, teaching, and all the other work happen because we will need to first have safety. Now, last year, there were 1,708 serious incidents in our schools. Over 237 of these cases involves drugs, alcohol, or other controlled substance. Then alarming 283 involve weapons, and another 348 involve fights and assaults of students and staff. These were the data presented to us in our June board meeting. And the CEO program has just come under its first anniversary. So in our last board meeting, it was decided that the school system will hold community engagement events and take a look at how effective the program is, including what you asked, whether the program is building trust in the community. So, that's something that I'm anticipating happening in the next school year.
You have 7 years of teaching experience prior to joining MCPS. Likewise, you know about all the hardships that come with the profession. Teacher burnout can lead to burnout cascades, which causes staff shortages and hinders class assignments. In one of your candidacy profile statements, you expressed ways in which MCPS can and have boosted staff morale, such as the Maryland Blueprint for Success bill, feedback channels, employee assistance program reevaluation, community outreach events, and job sharing and career changer arrangements. However, there must be a way for students to also support their teachers. What do you think students can do to boost teacher morale?
As the educator, I deeply appreciate this question. By asking what students can do, I think shows that you view students as an active participant in the process of this education, right? So I believe education is a two-way street. And then to develop students' inner drive, it's very crucial. So when I decided to study early childhood education at graduate school, many warned me of the low pay, low social status of teachers. But I decided to go ahead because of my second grade teacher who changed my life's trajectory I shared earlier. So I believe the best thing to boost teachers' morale a student can do is to take school seriously, be curious, stay engaged, right? And I think that's most of us, that's why we got into education. Now, of course, showing respect and sharing your appreciation once in a while, verbally or with a card you made will definitely help boost our morale. I have to say, personally, I have a stack of thank you cards from my students and parents I have worked with. And on a difficult day or after a particularly long day, I sometimes will bring one out to read. And I always feel better afterward. Yeah.
Absolutely. It can be those letters that really make a difference in someone's lives to keep them going. Has any progress been made on the staff shortage problem? And do you think we will have enough teachers to support our students in the near future?
I think this year, yes. So the answer to your question is yes. So MCPS is actually faring pretty well amidst this teacher shortage national crisis, right? This year, we actually looking data now that we are in good shape for the coming school year. We were brief on the hiring, and we are in pretty good shape for the coming school year.
That's great to hear.
Mm.
As you may know, the Supreme Court has decided to discontinue affirmative action in college admissions. Like you, I myself am an Asian American, and I will be applying to colleges in a few months. I've read from multiple sources that identifying as an Asian American can actually hurt my chances of being admitted to certain colleges. If you were in my position, would you identify yourself as Asian American on your college application?
Okay, I have a story to share with you here, Christian. On my first day of graduate school, and this was in Hawaii, at the end of one class, my professor asked me to stay behind. And this is how this interaction went. So your name is Julie. I hope that you understand that in this class, we are training teachers and talking about practical things we can do with students. I was dumbfounded, Christian. Here I was, right? Here I was suspected to have walked into the wrong classroom. Why? Is it because I speak English with an accent? Or is it because that typically people view that I should be studying accounting or engineering, right? So fast forward 7 years later, and there was a retirement party for this professor. At that time, I have already been a teacher for 5 years and had hosted, many of college education interns in my classroom. And she apologized to me. She said, "I'm so sorry about the comment that I made that day. You have been a wonderful teacher." And I share this story just to say how harmful stereotypes and labels, can be. Every day, I bring my whole self to my work, feeling my purpose. I'm a mom, an educator, a woman, an Asian American, a Girl Scout leader, a 4-H leader, a community advocate and organizer, and a board member. I'm an American. So my community is big, and all aspects of all that of me weave together with all of you, Jason, Christian, anyone in the community, into this, completion of our pluralistic society. Now, I understand that no community is monolithic, and that, your ethnicity and our ethnicity is part of our experiences. So, Christian, yes, I did feel that out proudly, and I will do that again.
Absolutely. We all deserve the chance to pursue what we want to pursue as students, teachers, anyone really. This is the last question is a very general question about your career. Since leaving office, what about the job has surprised you? What challenges have you encountered along the way? And are there any issues that you've become more aware of than before?
Okay, this is definitely not a part-time job. That's and I'm still putting a lot of miles on my car, going around the county, visiting schools, and meeting the community members. But I feel excited about my job every day. I love serving together with my colleagues. So if I have to pick, my most favorite is the graduation ceremony. Seeing the 500, 600, 700. I think the biggest one I went to is the Water Johnson one, right? And seeing students walk across the stage, that pride, that joy, the hope rise in me. And that make every day worthwhile. That
must be a very rewarding experience. Absolutely. That about wraps up our questions. I thank you again for answering all of these with me. Back to you, Mr. Makstein.
Yep. Thanks so much, Julie, for coming out. Really appreciate your answers and everything. And thanks for your time.
I appreciate your partnership taking on our summarized intern. How many did you take this year?
So I actually had 10. So it's been a little bit crazy.
Yeah, and then you're doing
fun,
individualized projects with them. This is wonderful. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right.
So
okay. Bye. Good luck on the college application, Christian.